Hi guys, John with SoCal Outdoor Adventure. It's great to be back with you today. For today's video, we're going to be doing a review of a knife that, surprisingly enough, that I never expected to buy. But in all honesty, it's a great knife to have, especially if you're a beginner, or if you're not a beginner, or if you just want that perfect aspect of a blade. And this is the first blade I've ever bought from this particular company. I have another product from them. I have a bag from them, but I never own a knife. I'm talking about the Condor Terrasur. So stick around. Alright guys, so hopefully you guys can see me okay here. I've got the camera set at an unusual angle, but hopefully you can see me pretty good. So the knife we're going to be talking to you guys about today is going to be this particular knife right here, the Condor Terrasur. And I have to admit, I was pretty skeptical at first when this knife first came out on the market. But when I got the knife in my hands, it actually felt really, really good. The knife the handle is nice and comfortable when you first pick it up and put it into your hand. And there's a lot of features that oh my god, I'm so sorry. There's a lot of features that the Condor Terrasur does have that is very, very similar to the Mora Garberg. The first thing that is definitely similar with the Condor Terrasur and the Mora Garberg is that they both have pummels at the end of their blades, so you can definitely use it to pound them. I do have my Mora Garberg with me as well. Both blades do feature a nice edge to allow you to go ahead and strike a ferro rod. Matter of fact, let's see here. Just so you guys can see, let's get some of this coating off. There we go. I just barely took some of the coating off and it's already able to strike that. Look at that. Definitely want to be careful. I'm actually camping at Denison County Park this weekend, and there is a lot of leaf litter around the campsite where I'm at right now. But as you can see, the Condor Terrasur does strike a ferro rod very, very well. And a lot of people, you're probably wondering, I've also got the Mora Garberg, so why would I get the Condor Terrasur? Well, for one, the Mora Garberg is my primary knife that I use for when I bushcraft now. You may recall I had another blade called the OKC Bushcrafter. I still have that knife, but that knife is more of a standard camping knife, so if I'm going camping, I would take that knife. But if I'm by myself or if I want to practice my skills, I would take the Mora Garberg with me. The Condor Terrasur is definitely a knife I could switch back and forth between the two knives. But it's definitely, this is definitely a possibility I could switch back and forth between either this one or the Mora Garberg. Now let's talk about a couple of things here about the Condor Terrasur versus the Mora Garberg. A couple of things you're also going to notice too on both knives is the length of the blades. As you can see, when both knives are together, the Condor Terrasur, let's see if I can match it up. There we go. Okay, that looks good. So the Condor Terrasur blade length is about almost the same length as the Mora Garberg, if I'm not mistaken. I've got them both sitting right up against my table here. And if I'm looking at that, actually no, I was wrong. If you look at that, the Mora Garberg is actually bigger than the Condor Terrasur. As you can see right there, if you're looking at that at the angle here, and the Garberg is actually bigger, is actually longer than the Terrasur. Now, a couple of differences that you are going to notice with the Condor Terrasur versus the Mora Garberg is going to be the first thing is going to be the handle. Now, the handle on the Condor Terrasur in comparison to the Mora Garberg, they're both comfortable. But as you can see, this one, the Mora Garberg has a little bit more of a fatter, handle when you grab onto the knife, whereas the Mora Garberg, I keep doing that. I'm so sorry. So let's try this again. So the Mora Garberg has more of a stout handle. Well, I mean, not so much of a stout handle, but it's got a little bit more of a grip where I can basically wrap my whole hand around. I can definitely do the same thing with the Terrasur, but the handle on the Mora Garberg is a little bit more fatter, whereas the handle on the Condor Terrasur is a little bit more skinnier, but I can still get a good grip on it, and I can still make some good cuts. I can still cut wood very well with this knife, and it still does a very good job when it comes to campcraft, when it comes to bushwhacking, whatever you want to call it. This is a great knife to have. Now, another key difference that you are also going to notice too with both of these knives is going to be the size of the lanyard holes. Now, as you can see, the lanyard hole on the Mora Garberg has more of kind of like a shoe type, like a horseshoe style. Not like a horseshoe style, but it's kind of like a flat shoe. Whereas on the Condor Terrasur, it's more rounded here. Now, there were a couple of complaints that I did hear recently about the Condor Terrasur, saying that you can see the epoxy resin along the edge of the blade as well as the bottom of the pommel. When I got this knife was perfectly fine, no issues whatsoever. It came nice and sharp right out of the box. I've tested and used this knife a couple of times and no issues whatsoever. Another difference between these two knives here versus as far as them, it's definitely going to be the blade steel. The blade steel on the Mora Garberg is a 14 CRN2 steel, whereas the blade on the Condor Terrasur is a 1095 hard carbine steel. Now let's talk about the sheaths. Now the sheaths that come with both of these knives are a polyurethane hard shell sheath system. However, the one difference between the Condor Terrasur sheath versus the Mora Garberg is that the Mora Garberg allows you to attach it to a MOLLE compatible straps on your pack. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I don't have the sheath with me for my Mora Garberg, but I do have the sheath for the Condor Terrasur, and this is the sheath right here. So as you can see, my sheath right now is currently set up for right-handed carry. The belt loop is pretty generous. It's a nice leather belt loop, and the knife fits in there really good as well. So no play whatsoever. I mean, I can, if I were to shake this as hard as I could, the knife could possibly fly out. I definitely don't want to do that, but it's holding the retention on the blade pretty well. Now, another thing too that was also good about the knife, the Mora Garberg sheath, is that it's compatible with right and left-handed carry, and that's definitely a great feature. The Condor Terrasur actually has the same thing. Now, one of the things that in one of the videos I was watching one time, they were saying they could not remove the belt loop. Well, you can actually remove the belt loop. However, if you don't want to take the belt loop off, which you are a left-hander, what you can go ahead and do is pull the knife out of the sheath, stick it in the other way. Now, I have carried the knife in this style before, as far as just to see like if it does any damage to the blade whatsoever when I pull the knife out, and it honestly doesn't. I have not seen any nicks or cuts in the blade. There's no damage done to the sheath whatsoever. But let's say, for example, you don't want to carry it this way. You want to carry it the way that it's supposed to be carried, like this. If you use a little bit of force, there we go, you can actually remove the belt loop of the sheath, and then you can go ahead and turn around, put it the other way, and you can now go ahead and carry it on your left hand, on the left hand side of your belt instead of your right hand side, especially if you're left-handed. Now, one thing I think that's definitely a great skill, just a little bit off topic here, is that it's a great idea for you to learn how to use your knife with both of your right and your left hand, because the advantage that you're going to have with using the blade with both your left and your right hand is that if one arm's down, is not working properly, or if you mess it up, you need a way to be able to to get wood done or get a fire going. So definitely it's a good idea for you to learn how to use your knife with your left hand if you don't know how to do that. So price difference between both knives do come with their sheaths, and price difference between the two is going to be about $40. I picked up the Condor Terrasur from, I believe it was from Knife Ship Free, for around $39.99. The Mora Garberg right now is still going for a very high price. You can get this knife for anywhere between, I think the last time I saw it was between $80 to $110. Now, one thing you can get differently with the Moor Garber that you cannot get with the Condor Terrasur is you can also get a leather belt sheath for the Moor Garber instead of that you cannot get for the Condor Terrasur. And I think that would have been a great thing to have. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is grab a piece of wood here and show you a couple of feather sticks with using the Condor Terrasur. Alright guys, so we got ourselves a piece of wood from my wood pile that I have in the back of my truck that I brought with me for camping today. So we're going to go ahead and use the Condor Terrasur on this particular piece of wood. As you can see, it's actually really biting into the wood. I'm not feeling any handle fatigue whatsoever. Now, obviously, one thing that people would want to see me do with the Condor Terrasur is to baton, but I'm not going to baton. I prefer to use a hatchet. The only time I should ever have to use a knife to baton any piece of wood that I feel is only if I were to lose the knife or if I don't have my primary blade with me. Bikers passing through today. So as you can see, I made some nice feathers with the Condor Terrasur, and I've been using this knife now for over 3 months. Just testing it, putting it through the paces, see how it feels on the belt. And so far, I mean, I love this knife. This is a great knife. First product I've ever purchased from Condor, and I think they hit it out of the park. So as you can see, I know Condor makes other knives, but this is the first one I've ever purchased from them. So all in all, I think it's a great knife. The only thing I ever do to it too when I'm done using it or when I go back home for the day is I'll just pull my strop out and just drop it real quick just to clean it up a little bit. Nothing fancy. I haven't had to sharpen this other than stropping it. So all in all, it's done well. So overall, what do I think of the Condor Terrasur? I think it's a fantastic blade. I think it's a great blade to have whether you are a first-time bushcrafter or if you need a knife to take with you camping or if you need a knife for hiking in general. This is definitely great for anybody. Who do I think this is for? I would say anybody except for kids below the age of 10. I know some parents want to teach their kids how to use a knife, but I don't think that this would be a knife that I would recommend teaching your kids how to use. But I mean, the handle ergonomics of this blade is definitely really good. I mean, you are going to feel, I mean, when I was actually feathering this stick right here, I was actually feeling a little bit of a hot spot, but that's probably because I had too hard of a grip. I felt a hot spot right in this portion right here of my hand. So chances are I probably had a really hard grip on it, and that may have been too rough for me to use the knife with. So price-wise, as far as the knife is concerned, again, it's anywhere between $39 to $50, depending on where you go. It's a lot cheap. It's cheaper than buying the Moor Garber. Do I think this knife is a replica of the Moor Garber? The answer, in my opinion, is honestly no. I mean, there's a lot of similarities between this knife and the Moor Garber. However, the couple of things that do stand out with the Moor Garber in comparison to the Condor Terrasur is definitely going to be the sheath options that come with the knife. Another thing that's also going to stand out is definitely going to be the blades. Again, The Garberg is made with 14 CRN steel, whereas the Condor Terrasur, you have a 1095 high carbine. More is made, of course, is made by Kniev. The Condor is made in El Salvador. But all in all, though, I think I absolutely like this blade. I definitely think this is a knife that is worth having in your collection. So this is not a pay review. I purchased this knife with my own money. I am not sponsored by anybody to do this review on this particular knife. I'm just here to give you my honest opinion. What do I think about this knife? So I like it. I think it's definitely a knife that's going to be worth having for a long time in your kit, no matter where you are. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video on the Condor Terrasur. Please give it a like, and if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Also, don't forget to check out some of my other videos that I have on my channel as well. And as always, stay safe, have fun, and be well. Now get outside good and go have an adventure. Thank you for joining me.